Hi guys, how you going? I'm Pete.
I'm Mel.
And we're about to take off and have a look around the country.
Yeah.
What do you think about
I think that's a great idea.
that?
We
Okay.
probably won't get all the way around.
We've decided we've worked hard enough over the last few years, and this has been the result of some years planning. It was always our objective as we head into our grey times that we would do things while we're still fit and able. So the first step in putting that plan into action was to purchase a van, which we did almost 3 years ago. And we bought ourselves a Jurgens Luna Gazer, 21.5 foot. Very light van, tows like a dream. Plenty big enough for us.
Yeah.
And then we started to do a few shorter trips. So we did 5 weeks here and 3 weeks there, and saw that we got along together in close quarters without killing anyone, put the knives away at night. That was all good. And then we decided that we would, it's been a pretty hectic time around the country and the world, and we've decided that we would just put a circuit breaker in place and have a look around the place ourselves. And we've taken 6 months off, and we're going to have a bit of a geek around the place.
Bit of planning, but we thought if we don't do it now, when will we do it? And so we just made it happen essentially, and here we are on our way.
We are virtually putting a foot out the door to go. Pardon me. The plan is to have no plan as such. We've got a really loose plan, but essentially we're going to go up through the centre of New South Wales, Queensland, starting at our starting point in central Victoria, and a couple of bucket list things we want to do on the way up through, which is, we've been up in this area, this direction before, but we want to spend a bit more time, and with no plan, if we find something a bit more interesting, or we hear something a bit more interesting close by, we can spend the time without having to rush off to meet an obligation somewhere else. I think that's probably, we're going to be running pretty loose and free, but that's okay, we've got 6 months to do it.
Yeah, so we were just starting to, didn't want to actually drive past places like we've done in the past. We wanted to actually take our time and have a little bit of a look around some of these areas instead of actually driving through these towns and not spending much time at all these little country areas that have got a lot to offer.
And some of these little towns they're really they've all got their own little history, and some of the facts that you find out about some of these places, and you have I didn't know that sort of thing happened here, and some places are just legendary, and in the Oz ethos, and to actually go to these places and see where these legends started. A couple of things we want to do for sure is a few times we've actually gone past the CSIRO radio telescope situated in Parkes, New South Wales. We've always just driven past and never had the time to have a look around and then explore the Parkes area as well. So there's a few things we want to have a look at Parkes, and then we want to venture up into Queensland, central outback Queensland, and have a look at Carnarvon Gorge. It's been on our radar for a long time, and it looks spectacular, so we'll probably spend 4 or 5 nights staying there
Properly.
Yeah, and being pretty active, doing some hiking, and that's about all you can do there really, and have a look around the place, and then we'll make our way northeast up to the Mackay region.
Yeah, up to the coast.
Yep. When we hit the coast, we're going to prop there for about a month and a half, and give it a good look. I haven't been up this way since I was a young bloke. Mel spent some time here with the dad's work.
Yeah.
When he was a meat inspector, and so we'll probably go as far north as the Whitsundays, Early Beach, that sort of thing, which we've both been to before, but again, no schedule, no pressure, so we'll be able to take our time, and then we'll venture down towards the south again and try to miss the winter.
Yep, give that a go.
That's the loose plan. You're welcome to join along with us. Love to have you. Do all the kid stuff. If you want to subscribe, that'd be great. Love it. Drop a comment if you think of something that you'd like us to have a look at while we're out and about. certainly do that. Give us a like, put your notification bell on, all that sort of stuff, and we'll try to pump one of these episodes out reasonably regularly. Bear with me early, the technology's new to me.
And we're actually just learning. So we're learning our way, we're calling it our learning experience to being a grey nomad. So we're hoping that we will gain some more experience so that we get a little bit better at this grey nomad thing, and when we become grey nomads we're fully fledged. Yeah, we've got our training wheels on just at the moment.
I've got my grey bit going just nice, thanks. But yeah, no, look, drop some comments in when we put this up on YouTube, and let us know what you think, what you'd like to see, and we'll try to accommodate. But it's just a good way for our family and friends and anyone else who's interested in doing this themselves. We'll be putting up a few tips. Anything we learn on the way, we'd love to share. Already we've got a few things in mind that we'll be able to show to you guys who are thinking about doing the same thing. What do you do with your shopping? How do you live off grid? All that sort of stuff.
How do you keep fit and healthy? How do you maintain some sort of routine? Because this is completely out of routine. But how do you maintain some sort of routine? Which we like to show you how we go about doing that as we learn ourselves. Yep,
and just look at sharing the experience and giving you guys the opportunity to be able to do the same.
Yeah, hopefully we might be able to help some of you out there.
Okay guys, we'll see you on the track.
Bye.
Hi guys, how you going? We're out at Parks. We've been here for a couple of days having a look around, and it's a lovely region of central New South Wales. Today we're out at the CSIRO radio telescope. Quite an amazing piece of equipment. Famously known for its part in the Apollo 11 landing on the moon, and for the 2000 release movie The Dish. Although it's contributing to some very important work 24/7, and it's not just Australia that gets the benefit. NASA and other scientists around the world use this telescope to research stuff they're interested in. The centre itself here, there's a good interpretation centre, there's some static displays, there's a gift shop, there's a 3D presentation film where you can sit in and learn some stuff about the universe, the evolution of telescopes, all that sort of thing. There's a good coffee shop and cafe, so you can have a feed, and yeah, it's a really good spot. Do yourself a favour and have a look. There she is, she's actually moving. Don't get to see this very often. Hey guys, we're in Roma, and in Roma they have the thin leaf bottle tree. Have a look at the size of this. But of course in Roma they do bottle trees a little bit different. Have a look at the size of this sucker. Roma's largest bottle tree was transplanted by the Roma Town Council in 1927. The tree was fairly well grown at the time of transplant and quite possibly originated in the 19th century. Measuring an incredible girth of 9.5 metres and a height of 6 metres with a crown of 20 metres, this tree has certainly thrived in its new home for around the last 100 years. Okay, here we are. Bucket list day, Carnarvon Gorge. We had a bit of a hike the other day, 23 kilometres we did, and it was extraordinary. The sights were brilliant. Today we've got a little bit of a shorter walk, it's only 10 k's. We're going to go up to the Moss Garden, have a look at that, and then up to the amphitheatre, and if we've got time up towards Bluff, have a bit of a look. So we've only got about 3 crossings today. We did about 15 day before yesterday, and it was a long day, but the path is really good. A few stairs, some of the crossings were a little bit technical, but most of them were pretty good. But I think you found it pretty good?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
hard work, but good.
Someone was pretty tired at the end of the day, but anyway, she made it. It was all good. And so we'll go back for round 2 today, and then we'll be out of the gorge tomorrow. We've had 4 nights here. Super quiet, no technology to be bothering you, no TV. And
it's currently 6:30 in the morning.
It's 6:30 in the morning, and it's about 15 degrees.
And it's very quiet. Best time to come.
No one here. It's awesome.
Yeah, beautiful. The sun's just coming up on the mountains now.
And if you leave it a bit later in the day, you'll find the crowds come. So it's better to come early. It's
and
quiet.
You can't get a park in a car park.
No, a bit of roadworks going on in the background. Okay,
here we go.
See you on the track.
Bye.
Bye. Well, we've made it up to the amphitheatre, and when you first arrive at the launch spot, you think you've actually made it. But have a look behind me. There's some stairs that go through a little crack in the wall, and that's where we're going. It's a naturally formed tunnel that leads into a full 360 amphitheatre, and that's where we're going. What do you reckon, Mel?
Yeah.
So how good is this? We're inside the amphitheatre and we've got it to ourselves. We're lucky that we took off a bit early this morning. The place in here, it's cathedral-like. It's calm, it's quiet. There's a little bit of an echo. Gooey! But yeah, it's very peaceful in here. It deadens all the sound of the bush just outside through the tunnel. And there would be in the winter, there is a small creek at the bottom that would be flowing out through the tunnel we come in, but that might prevent anyone getting in. But as you can see, it's pretty spectacular, and you can understand why First Nations people would hold this place a little bit special, a bit holy. It would only be a certain time of the day that the sun would come in here to let the ferns grow. But very, very nice. How nice is this?
Oh, it's beautiful. Isn't it just gorgeous?
Little offshoot to the main track. I wasn't really expecting to find this here.
It's very peaceful and it's hard to imagine there's a stream running as if it's on flat land. Yet it's metres and metres above the actual river. It's just amazing. Extraordinarily peaceful. We're lucky to be here on our own. Ferns, and we're just listening to the water. A lovely place to be.
some serious root growth there. We've run out of. G'day guys, how you going? We finally made it back and we finished our last walk in Carnarvon Gorge. It was quite a specky sort of a walk, not quite as far as we did the other day, only about 10 or 11 k's, but nonetheless the sights were quite good. We visited the amphitheatre first. You'll see the footage of that, and yeah, it's hard to believe it's probably my favourite park.
Yeah.
My favourite part of the walk for the 2-3 days we walked, I guess. Then we ventured up towards Canyon and had a look, which was a bit of a surprise. We hadn't planned to put that in our itinerary, but I'm glad we did. It's just like walking into a prehistoric snapshot, really. It's like the land time forgot. There's king ferns there that are in no other place in Queensland inland. And they were around in the dinosaur days. They were monstrous big ferns, nice and cool, little rivulet running through it all, and it was pretty nice and a bit specky as well.
Yeah, hard to believe that it's actually a couple of 100 metres up, a climb up into it, and then all of a sudden you meet this little sort of river that you'd expect to see actually at ground level, not up in amongst the rocks up in the mountain. Do you think? Yeah,
and I think it's funny, you know, park. You got to have a shout out to the parks department up here, and I guess it's true to be said for everywhere around the country. Hats off to these guys. They put in all the work, all the steps, the ladders, the handrails, everything that makes accessibility a whole lot easier for the general population to see, and keep them safe at the same time. And I guess the bonus for them is it keeps them together on a true path, and they don't have to go searching for bodies at the bottom of ravines. Afterwards, we wandered back down towards the start, and
the Moss Garden.
There's a turn off to Moss Garden. The walk there's another river crossing. It was a bit technical.
Yeah, it was a bit technical. Actually, more than what I expected it to be. It's actually a couple of little crossings all put together.
Yeah, and what I mean by technical, the earlier crossings are quite broad, solid, big rocks, and it's just like stepping stones in Nana's backyard. The further up you get, the harder it is for the guys to get into the rivers and find the rocks, because it's all got to be man-handled. There's no machinery can get right up the top. So understandably the rocks are smaller, some of them are slightly submerged depending on the water level, and some of them are just points that you've got to land on and hopefully not be too slippery. Some of them are multi-choice almost, and you can get yourself caught in the middle of the river and have to double back and nut it out. So it's a bit intellectual, so that's what I mean by technical. Moss Gardens itself, it was just a nice secluded spot where the water travels through the sandstone, and then until it hits the slate. And where it hits the slate level, the water travels sideways because it can't get through the slate. And at this point in the canyon, the water was travelling sideways from both sides and dripping into the canyon. And there was a little waterfall at the end, but where the water was coming out of the walls, all moss and ferns and all that sort of thing was just growing out of the walls, which was made for a nice subdued sort of setting.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a shame there was a few extra people there, because we were sort of used to the whole time we've been at Wards Canyon and the amphitheatre, we were actually on our own, so it was a bit more surreal, I think.
Yeah, it was. That's the benefit of going early, but you know, we can't be the people to say you can't come because we are. But we tried that. But anyway, it was still a nice spot. Yeah, I'd rate it on the day. I'd rate it third.
Yeah, definitely.
Certainly, the amphitheatre was A++++. I couldn't give it enough ticks. You know, whether there was people there or not, we were lucky we got there on our own. But it just had that ambience of a cathedral. When people walked in, there was one young guy come in and he just didn't say a word. It was just so inspiring. The same could be said for Wards Canyon, and I'm sure if you're on your own at Moss Garden, it's lovely. It really is worth the walk, and it's the closest one to the Interpretation Centre, so probably the easiest to get to, except for the crossings were probably a bit daunting for some.
Yeah, I think you've a couple of tips probably just from our experience would be to go early. Definitely, it's worthwhile getting up, you know, at dusk or before dusk and heading up that way and getting up there early to really appreciate those couple of spots in particular. And just from my experience on the first one, I'd suggest that you consider the whole pole thing. Didn't think I was a pole walking sort of person, but I found that the poles gave me a little bit more stability across some of those rock crossings because they were pretty unexpected. You didn't really know what you're up against, and sometimes we crossed them a couple of times and you still picked a different path to go across at some point. But just for your, not that you fall far or anything, but just for your own, if you've got cameras or children, would probably pay to think about your stability across some of those crossings. So that's probably 2 tips from my
especially you see a lot of parents carrying toddlers in backpacks, which is great. You know, if you're going to fall, just fall on your back, you'll be safe. You'll squash your kid, but you'll be right.
Yeah, and then the footwear is probably another good thing from my perspective. Again, I didn't really have, I had runners, I didn't have good quality sort of shoes. I regretted not having sort of stable shoes. Yeah, stable shoes. So I definitely
invest in good walking shoes.
Yeah, and mozzie or insect repellent.
It wasn't too bad there, I didn't think.
Type of thing. Just if you're going to walk the distance, you need to prepare for walking the distance.
If you're going to do the full walk, you need some level of fitness. Yeah. Like 23 k's is 23 k's, but when you're hiking up and down, and it can get to the middle part of the day, so you're going to get up to the bend around about midday. The sun does come straight into the gorge. You're pretty much sheltered early morning, late. There are parts where it's just always in shade, but you know, this was a bucket list part of our trip. It was everything that we thought it would be, and probably a little bit more. It was probably made a lot more enjoyable for us. We decided to stay at Tamaraka Bush Resort, which is just 5 minutes drive from the Interpretation Centre at the start of the gorge. It's a nice big park. They have on-site cabins. They have upper level cabins as well. You can do glamping here. They've got glamping tents, all that sort of stuff. Or they just have a camping area with no power, just a camp kitchens, showers and toilets, which were all brilliant. We stayed on a powered site. The good thing was there was no reception for TV, there was no reception for phone, so you are cut off, so to speak. They do have Wi-Fi up at the bar from happy hour from 3 till 6, so everyone has to go to happy hour and catch up with their emails. But
and there's a sort of a small shop there as well. They'll give you information about the walks, and they're also like some supplies for just if you've missed something.
Got some grocery items.
Yeah, and that's where I got my poles from, actually, from there, and they were pretty reasonably priced, about $45 for the 2 telescopic poles, which was good. Anything you sort of needed there, they had, in case you've forgotten something, they've catered for that. But as Pete said, there's no reception, so just be mindful that help is quite a long way away from that area. It is very, very isolated.
And at the back of the main camp kitchen, put my teeth back in, there's actually a platypus pond. We didn't see one while we were there, but others had. They are doing trying to fence the whole environment off. That portion of the creek is no swimming. They're just trying to do a platypus environment friendly place, and that's a good thing, I guess. But other than that, great place to stay. Awesome stay here. 4 nights was, you could stay here for longer, but we have to move on. We're going to head up from here. We're going to head up to Emerald, around Sapphire, have a look around the Gemstone area before we head onto the coast, which is our main goal. And we've got a little bit of a job up here to do, and then we're going to head down south. But once we hit the coast, that's the first part of our trip done and dusted, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, do it. Morning, guys. We've finally made it to the tropic north of Queensland, and this morning we've got up early and come out to Cape Hillsborough to have a look at the kangaroos wandering around on the beach eating the seed pods. It's a bit of an attraction that's built up a bit like the penguins down in Phillip Island, but there's still plenty of room, and they make sure that there's a safe distance between the wildlife and the people. But really, how spectacular is the morning? The sunrise this morning was amazing. Bit special.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
And
worth getting up extremely early to come and look at it, but it was just beautiful.
No, but anyway, it was okay. But pretty good. I'll spin around and you can have a look what's in front of us. Good morning, Queensland. Come, follow me. So we've been here for about a week, and we're doing a bit of a house sitting job for the next 5 weeks, and having a bit of an explore in the region. There's a lot to offer around here. It's just about to start the sugarcane harvest this next week. I think the mills are starting up.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, yeah, the first one's firing up, so it's going to be all go up here with the cane trains. And we've had our hand at a bit of fishing. There's a lot of fishing to be had, so we're going to be trying a bit of that. And yeah, we'll do a bit of exploring.